For everyone that clicked on the video, the manga we are going to be talking about in today's video will be none other than Tokyo Revengers. The premise of the manga is pretty similar to that of the anime Erased, but done 100 times better in my opinion. The main character has to go back in time to save a certain someone and ends up getting caught in a whole spiral of meeting new people, getting in situations that he wouldn't have normally gotten himself into if life had stayed the same. And, just struggling throughout the whole series and overcoming hardships through this time leap. But before we get into the details of the introduction of this manga, don't forget to subscribe and turn post notifications on for this channel. It helps me out a bunch and it helps me make more content for you guys. The main character, Takemichi, is a 26-year-old man who has a normal job and lives in a cheap, dirty apartment, and sadly lives on his own. He is sitting in bed one morning, a normal day for Takemichi, and he's looking at the news and he finds out that his old girlfriend has died in a car accident from when he was a kid. The incident is related to gangs, and this is important later. But it was his girlfriend from when he was a kid, so he doesn't really think much of it, and then he carries on with his day as normal. But Takemichi has a pretty depressing, ordinary life. He goes to work, works at a radio shop. I think it's a radio shop, don't quote me on that. And he's just a pushover. He gets pushed around by his boss. He's constantly saying sorry to people all his life. And he's kind of fed up. One day after work, he even got pushed around by some kid delinquents. And he ended up saying sorry for that even though he did nothing wrong. But that just shows Takemichi is a character at this current point anyway. He goes to get the train home, finding himself near pretty much the edge of the train tracks. Someone comes rushing in and pushes him onto the train tracks, and he couldn't do anything about it. The train is coming full speed ahead. He's got no time to react, and the screen goes white. Takemichi wakes up, but something seems a lot different from before. He goes to look in a mirror as he feels weird and finds out that it is himself from 12 years ago on that day. Takemichi finds himself in the body of him 12 years ago. He's super shocked by this and just thinks that his life's flashing before his eyes for some reason, and he just thinks it's in super high definition, so he carries on with his day. But no difference. In 12 years in the future, he's still getting pushed around. He's got some friends this time, but his friends get pushed around by the older kids, and he has a really bad day, even as a kid. It comes to the end of the day in his kid body, and he finds himself on a swing, tired, frustrated, and he sees two delinquents picking on a smaller kid, just like he does. And this is where he loses it. He threatens the other kids, they run away, and obviously the smaller kid says thank you. But little did Takemichi know that this child was the brother of his girlfriend in the current timeline, Naoto. Naoto also dies in the car accident 12 years in the future, so Takemichi tells him. He says that it's going to happen in 12 years and you need to prevent it. And he shakes hands with Naoto. Naoto promises that he will. And in an instant, Takemichi is back to the future. He's laying in a hospital bed and Naoto is there, all grown up. He explains that he became a police officer and he tried so hard to stop the death of his sister, but just couldn't. He managed to stop his own death, but not his sister, and this is where he asks Takemichi for help. He wants Takemichi to go back into the past again and prevent this from happening so he can save his sister and Naoto, and the future can go back to normal. And for this objective to be complete, they must stop the two leaders of the Tokyo Manji gang from ever meeting so the incident doesn't happen with the gangs. He must stop Manjiro Sano and Kisaki from ever meeting so it doesn't happen. Takemichi is still very overwhelmed from this whole situation, but agrees with Naoto and that he will do this and carry out the mission. They both assume that the trigger for the time leaps is the handshake, so they shake hands and off they go back to the past. And for the explanation of how Takemichi got saved from the train, it was actually Naoto that shook his hand in the future, and that obviously instigated the time leap, and he goes back in time and then it prevents it all. So that's where that came from. But this is really where the series kickstarts off and becomes a great manga overall. We get to see Takemichi get in so many cool situations with the gangs and meet a bunch of new characters that are all great. Okay, so let me just name a few good characters that in the series. We got Mikey, we got Baji, we got Draken, we got Kisaki, we got many more that I cannot name one bad character in this series, honestly. And Takemichi's development is also insane. Very good development from Takemichi. His nickname for everyone in the manga, which isn't a spoiler, is the Crybaby Hero, but all I'm gonna say is he did it better than Deku. I can't lie. He did it better than Deku, but you know, that's obviously up to personal opinion. Just on the fact that we see Takemichi go from a push around guy, you know, saying sorry all the time, into a courageous guy that has determination to save his girlfriend and the brother. And let me talk about the fights in this series. Never did I think a fight between kids, well not kids but teens, could have so much emotional impact in almost every fight. Because every fight is fighting for something, and something that means a lot to everyone in the fight involved. Like, the emotion that comes out of these characters sometimes is absolutely crazy. And, you know, I commend the manga for that, just alone. And for me personally, after about 50 chapters of reading this, it was straight into my top 10 list. Literally straight into my top 10. That's anime and manga also. You know, I couldn't believe it either. A series just climbing into my top 10 as easy as this. But the series currently has around 200 chapters out. You know, I binged that in under like 3 days, 4 days. It feels like 20 chapters because this series is great. But you should be able to finish it within a week or catch up at least. And for my boys who don't don't read manga like that, you can always watch the anime. It's got 3 episodes out right now. But the animation isn't anything like insane, or the production isn't insane, because obviously it's very new. So what I did personally was I watched the 3 episodes and then I went straight into the manga, caught up with that. You know, great series, boom. And the series is actually weekly, so I'm gonna let the chapters stack up a bit so I can have a big binge on that. And you know, I'm planning to make a lot more Tokyo Revengers videos because my interest in this manga is crazy. With the whole gangs and the delinquents, like, I haven't read a manga or watched an anime solely based on the delinquents and the gangs. You know, you'll see appearances here and there in other anime and manga, but you know, they're just punks and brushed off to the side. But getting a big in-depth series about delinquents in Tokyo is just so interesting. And the characters and the different gangs, watching it play out is just so good to read. But I won't keep you much longer because I want everyone to hop on this manga, everyone to read it. This is why I'm making a video on it. But go read Tokyo Revengers. I'm a Tokyo Revengers personal advocate. I'm preaching it to everyone, and a lot of my friends on Instagram and even YouTube, you know, been on the Tokyo Revengers hype. They'll tell you to watch it. They'll tell you it's great. But once again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a bunch. And turn on the post notification so you know when I'm uploading these videos. It's been Anime Waves, or should I say Manga Waves at this point, and peace.